afternoon, and welcome to AIADA's AutoTalk. I'm your host, Rachel Soleimani. Before I introduce today's presenter, a few quick notes. Everyone that is registered for today's program will receive a copy by the end of next week. And if you have any questions, feel free to enter them in the lower right-hand side of your screen under the Q&A bar. Today, we welcome back our good friend, Lisette Gohl, Head of Automotive Retail at Google. Lisette, I know you have a lot to cover with the new dealer guidebook, so I'll let you take it away.
Thank you, Rachel, and thank you for having me back at this AIADA Auto Talk. I always love being here, and I'm so honored to be back speaking with you all today. As Rachel mentioned, my name is Lisette Gohl, and I lead the U.S. Auto Retail team at Google. And our team specializes in digital marketing and technology solutions for dealers, auto groups, and their agencies. We're focused specifically on how you can best use our Google solutions to drive more profitability for your business. And today, I'm here to share learnings from our automotive industry best practice guide, the Google Dealer Guidebook. And as you may have heard, we recently relaunched an updated version of the Google Dealer Guidebook in February. We debuted the first version back in 2017 to answer one main question we were receiving from you, which was, how can I use Google's tools and solutions to grow my business? And I had the pleasure of debuting an updated version of the Guidebook 2.0 in February 2020, but unfortunately in March, the pandemic hit. So in order to ensure that you have the latest information to make business decisions, we've updated the guidebook that you know and trust, and we've published an article about it on Think with Google. So you can download the latest guidebook recommendations on Think with Google as soon as today. We've been through a lot in this industry, and we've been through downturns, comebacks, shifts in consumer preferences, and sweeping changes in the media landscape. But in just 1 year, the automotive industry drastically shifted in ways that would have normally taken us about 10 years. But one thing really has never changed, and that is our focus in the auto industry has been being customer-centric. We've been a customer-focused business for a very long time, and we address the wants and needs of our customers. But by and large, the customer is asking for something that we're not yet providing, which is a customer-led, completely frictionless shopping experience from the research to the purchase process. And we really must allow people to easily purchase their vehicles fully online or a hybrid of online and offline touchpoints like they do every other purchase in their life right now, from mattresses to furniture. And we've watched technology shift power away from traditional retail models and into the hands of customers with their cell phones. And with a few quick clicks, a few swipes, customers have learned that they really have the ability to demand things differently. And this is something that we as an industry are embracing. You've likely heard me talk about this statistic before, but let's look at it again with all of the context around consumer shifts. Today, 10% of automotive shoppers purchased a vehicle online, and this is compared to just 1% in 2018. So it's a big shift, and it is easy to write off this as a reaction to the pandemic, that just because customers were forced to adopt online retailing options or e-commerce. But I want us to look at the data behind this shift. Customers are driving this change towards what we're calling this customer-led frictionless experience. And we asked new car buyers if they would feel comfortable doing specific steps of the research process, either completely or partially online. And we found a few things. We found that 73% of new vehicle buyers are comfortable negotiating the purchase, lease, or financing terms, either completely online or a mixture of both online and offline. 66% of new car buyers are comfortable experiencing the vehicle feature or highlights. And this can include things like walkarounds, test drives, either completely online or with a mixture of online and offline touch points. And we also found that over half, 52%, are comfortable getting their vehicle delivered to the comfort of their own home without ever going into the dealership. Now, this doesn't mean that customers are researching less. It just means that they're researching and shopping differently. So they're open to doing all of the steps of the purchase process online. And we actually surveyed 60 people in the same research study and found that 65% of recent new vehicle purchasers expect more online options to be available to them in the future. So we know this is not an easy process, but we really are here to help you through that process. And what we want to do truly is prepare our business to meet the expectations of the online retailing experience that the customers are asking for through the data. So we're here to guide you every step of the way. And what we're going to do now is dive specifically into the guidebook. It's really important to have the fundamentals of digital marketing in place before we start to move to some of these more advanced areas that we will talk about in the guidebook specifically. So first, we're going to talk about covering the basics from 1.0. We really kind of say you can't run before you crawl here. So we're going to spend some time just talking about some of the areas that you may already be aware of, but it's always good as a reminder. So first, we can't really talk about the basics of online retailing and online search without talking about search. So search has become second nature, and it's really easy for us to take that for granted because it's such an important role in the decision-making process. But almost 8 out of 10 recent new car buyers said that they used search to make their recent purchase. And we actually see the same for used car buyers, as we all know on this call is very important in today's market. 79% of used car buyers also say that search informed their recent purchase. And search is not just important in the research phase, it is predictive of sales. And 65% of new vehicle buyers say they found their purchasing dealership online. Out of all of the ways people find dealerships online, search was number one. So then the question is, what are they searching for in order to find you and your dealership? This really brings us back to a core recommendation. We want to get back to the basics and review your keyword coverage. Car buyers are including a dealership term in only 11% of their searches. Now, that's a very important 11% of their searches because they are aware of your dealership name and you have a lot of brand equity. But if your keyword strategy begins and ends with the dealership name, you're potentially missing out on 89% of buyers. And so this is why we really just start with keyword coverage and recognize that it's very important. It gives you the opportunity to show up to the customers that matter when it matters the most, when they're really leaning in and looking for keywords that are important to your business. Now, this is an interesting statistic. 72% of people purchased their vehicle from a dealership that they had had no history with. And the top two reasons people chose their dealership were inventory and price. So you can see from the list on the right, the proximity of word of mouth isn't just enough to ensure that you'll be top of mind when it comes to purchase. These are factors, and you can see that there are a lot of different factors that go into discovering a purchasing dealership. But it is important to be present no matter how they're looking for us. So what we want to do is invest in keyword coverage in terms that, especially today, are focused around new vehicles, used vehicles, and fixed operations to give your dealership the opportunity to show up when those customers are looking for you. And we know this is more important than ever with the limited inventory environment that we're all in. So don't forget to use the power of search's predictability across all of your profit centers. So we're going to just review a little bit of these basics from this first pillar and guidebook. Here's a quick summary of areas that you can cover, and I've only just touched on a few of them today. So when you do get this guidebook, I encourage you to look into all of these areas in more depth. But on the left, we lay out overarching goals that you should focus on solving today. We break them out by category: website, measurement, search, and video and display. And then on the right, what you'll see are the Google products and recommendations that fall under each of those categories. So the products in bold are the ones we believe are important for dealers to focus on more broadly. And we do recommend work with your agency on a strategy that is tailored specifically for your business need. That is really important as we all have different business needs. So now I'm going to move to the next section of the guidebook, maintaining your momentum. So here we'll focus on defining, finding, and prioritizing the potential customers that are closest to a sale. Connecting with your potential customers online really has never been more important. You have to do that before they even reach your dealership so that you can build that relationship further in the showroom. So let's look at the trends that have changed over time. In 2020, new vehicle buyers only visited 1 to 2 dealerships before making their purchase. And this has changed over time. In 2019, they visited 2 dealerships, and in 2005, they visited 5 on average. So because dealer visits are so rare, and because they often come when your shoppers' minds are already made up, it's important that you find your customers while they're still in that shopping phase online. So I want to talk specifically about how do I actually find them. Key aspects of the car shopping process really have moved online, but it really isn't just vehicle shopping, it is all shopping. And really, it's becoming prevalent in every aspect of our lives as consumers. So your customers are really no different. They don't go online anymore, they really live online. And in the last section, I talked about how important it was for you to show up for the right customers. But I'm sure you're asking me, okay, great, Lisette, who are the right customers and how do I actually find them? So I want to talk about that for a minute. You're going to find your customers with a strongly defined customer strategy. And a strong strategy combines 2 things: audience and intent. And these are signs that people show when they're online that indicate that they are looking to buy a vehicle. And intent is where Google has a lot to offer. We take what we know about potential customers as they're interacting with us across all of our properties. They've logged in, and so we can see what they're searching on Google.com, the vehicle reviews that they're looking for on YouTube, and use that data to understand their ever evolving purchase journey. And we know without a doubt that audience plus intent is a valuable combination. So I want to walk through a few data points here for you. The simplest customer segment that we represent in the dealer landscape is remarketing for search. And that sees a 10% increase in conversions compared to campaigns without it. And similar audiences, which are customers based on your remarketing list, see an incremental 15% in conversions on average. And then finally, custom audiences is our more advanced customer segment. This is allowing you to say, we would like to target shoppers who visited certain pages on an endemic site, for example. And you can do that through custom audiences. And advertisers that are using this strategy see a 10 to 15% increase in their conversions. And conversions can be anything from all of your on-site visits to actually walking into a store. And we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. Your audiences are the potential buyers that you're reaching online, and they really have never been more valuable. So they allow you to begin your sales process whenever and wherever your customers are. We encourage you to find the right audiences that are driven by data. And this is going to allow you to really narrow in on the right customer at scale in a way that's cost efficient for your business. So targeting the right audiences gives you the opportunity to set yourself apart from the competition. And then in turn, you can take that intent and convert that into a vehicle sale. And here I want to just summarize the areas on how to maintain momentum. There are several more recommendations that we can talk about in the second pillar in detail, but the key takeaway is really to make sure that you understand the impact of your advertising investment and that it can be targeted to your specific customers. Next, I'm going to talk about how to grow your business through using machine learning to ensure that you're reaching all of your customer opportunities across all of your profit centers. You already have the assets you need to deliver the right message to the right customer. You've all worked hard to create awareness of your dealership name, who you are in the community, where you're located, and what inventory you have. But knowing all of this information, it still is difficult to keep up with the changing consumer journey, and we recognize that. For every 4 unique touch points in the path to purchase, one of them is on search. And so I want to apply a little bit of personal context here to just get you thinking about this. Think about the last time that you bought a large purchase. Did you go to the store or did you actually do research online before you went into the store? And what I would likely say that you did research, at least to some level, online before you walked into that store or made that final purchase. And we see the same thing in auto. If you switch car or truck or SUV into that story that you have in your head, it's likely what your potential customers are doing. So what this is telling us is that search continues to be an important step of the shopping process. And it's a continuation of what I talked about just a moment ago. But our goal here is to transition from a manual execution of capturing this demand into one that allows Google's machine learning capabilities to help out. And automation, which is our term for smart bidding, really helps ensure that your ads are running efficiently and effectively. What it does is use machine learning to better understand consumer behavior. And as your customers are searching for your dealership and inventory, it can understand that. And because it's constantly learning, it gets better at reaching your customers automatically and over time. So I'll give you this analogy. Think of a time that you last hired a star employee who completely blew away your expectations and freed up more of your time to focus on the business strategy. For instance, you gave them a goal, but then they had to figure out how to achieve that goal in the best way. They might have figured out how to do it in a way that you didn't, but in the end, you achieved the desired outcome. That essentially is what automation does for you. It lets the machine handle those time-consuming tasks so that you can focus on the exciting and the highly strategic business needs that you have. And we found specifically that smart bidding, which is using this machine learning to maximize conversions, is generally the best way to start for most dealers. And again, when I say conversions, I really mean all of these website actions that have an indication of intent to a sale. So this can be finding directions to your dealership. This could be submitting a lead form. This could be chatting with your salesperson on the website. All of those are essentially conversions. And what we want to do is maximize those conversions and get more of those actions that you care about. So this is designed to drive as many conversions as possible that you determine within your specific and determined budget. What we've learned is that every consumer journey is different, and that's really where machine learning is really powerful. But what is consistent is they're continuing to use search throughout the state of this journey. So smart bidding in a nutshell, this can help you capture these opportunities that are going to be the most valuable for you and start to eliminate any waste that you might have in your media and marketing strategies. And I just want to say that we do know that customers that are searching are showing the highest intent for sales. This is a great area to start. What I want to do is just have the machine do the work for you so you can focus on your strategy. And here's a summary of what to accomplish in each category of this pillar. So this is set up the same as the other two for consistency. And today I focused on smart bidding for max conversions. But as you see here, there are a lot of areas of opportunity here in this section as well around growing your business. So what you can do though is focus on various media products that use machine learning capabilities to be smarter and more effective with your ad dollars. And this can happen across search, video, and display to help free up the time so that you can focus on these strategies that are further growing your business for today and into the future. Speaking of the future, that is really the last pillar and the last section here of this guidebook. This is really what you're working towards and what we want to help you achieve. And right now, the biggest change that we're preparing for is this shift towards online retailing and omni-channel retailing. And so this is really fluid throughout every section of the guidebook that I've talked about, but we really wanted to break this out specifically for you. Okay, so let's talk a little bit of research here. 9 out of 10 recent car buyers did research for their latest vehicle purchase online. So what this is telling us is that the two things that we need to focus on for the future are continuing to make sure that your website user experience is very seamless for them, and that your measurement strategies are strong and adapting with these changes so that you can understand what the customers are doing and adapt to that need. So we'll talk a little bit about both of these. So first, I want to talk about site performance. And this is really just taking a step back and asking yourself, how does my website perform both on desktop and on mobile? And what I would recommend here is to evaluate the user experience and mystery shop your own websites. go ahead and log on both on your desktop device and on your mobile device and really ask yourself, try to work through the process. Is it easy to find vehicles that are in stock? Can people navigate through my VDPs really seamlessly? Is it easy for me to chat with a salesperson when I'm ready? Can I find trade-in opportunities? Is it easy for them to find directions to your dealership or submit a lead, for example? And these are just a few. But this is a really great way to just have a fresh perspective and take a look at the website experience, knowing that so much behavior is happening online. And then we want to talk about reevaluating measurement strategies. So we can't assume necessarily that the actions that were being taken in 2018 and 2019 are the same actions that people are doing on your website today for all of the reasons that I talked about. And what we do know is that 27% of people who bought a new vehicle from a dealer contacted them with one of your digital contact options, such as online chat, social media, or an online form on your website. And almost every single one of your future sales is going to be completed by somebody who did at least some of that research online and completed some of these actions. And your website is going to be one of those research steps. So we recommend that you are measuring every important action on your website so that you do not miss this shift in consumer behavior. And this allows you to go back through the information and the data on your particular website and understand, how are people finding you? How are they finding the vehicles and the service that you have to offer? So to wrap this section up, we really are getting online retail ready at the essence of what we're doing to prepare for the future. Now, I did talk about at the beginning, 10% of shoppers are completing research completely online today. But then that means that there are 90% that are doing a mix of hybrid and online and offline. So online retailing for us at Google really just means offering the shoppers online alternatives to all of the steps that are in the traditional research and purchase process. So at this point, you want to build on the previous sections that we've talked about by being smarter and more profitable with every dollar you spend. That is something that we care a lot about at Google. We want to make sure that the investment that you have with us as a partner is delivering a strong return on investment. And so we can help in some key areas that are listed here, like improving site speed, surfacing your inventory within Google Ads, and really focusing again on measurement, video display, and other machine learning type options. To close this section out, I do want to talk about what happens when we have a dealer who is executing on all of the areas that we've talked about here today. What we find is that we're capable of shifting to meet new needs and potentially unexpected consumer demand, just like Paragon Honda did in this case study. So I want to walk you through this case study a little bit. The challenge for Paragon Honda was that in the spring of 2020, as you know, it was especially difficult in New York City. At this time, COVID cases were peaking, shelter in place guidelines were changing every day in New York as they were throughout the rest of the country. But with key search terms spiking, Paragon Honda realized that their shoppers were still there. They were looking at that search interest as intent. And the key was updating their strategy to adapt to this new environment. When they did that, they saw the results that you see here. With the best practices in place and a consistent presence in the market, Paragon was well positioned as in-market shoppers turned into research, and then they ultimately turned into buyers, either in that same month or in future months. And as a result, Paragon Honda was able to improve their return on ad spend or their return on investment and maintain their position as the #1 US dealer in the overall Honda and Acura sales. And they actually moved up from the #3 dealer to the #2 dealer. So I want to walk you through just a few of their return on investment metrics here. So what Paragon saw was a 300% increase in return on investment or return on ad spend for their new vehicle sales in September 2020 compared to April 2020. They also saw a 675% increase in return on investment for their used vehicle sales from September to April. And then in April and May, showrooms were completely closed, so they were able to deliver 100% of their vehicle sales using online retailing strategies. So I hope this kind of just brings to life what I'm saying in terms of best practices and how they can be used to really drive incremental profitability for your dealerships. That's at the end of the day what we're trying to do, help you sell more vehicles, more fixed apps, and gain more profitability. So I've talked a lot and I want to open it up for questions that I see here in the panel. But to summarize what I've mentioned here, there are three things that we can do right now. The first is download the dealer guidebook from Think with Google. You can also reach out to myself or through your Google partner and get the full guidebook that way as well. This guidebook is completely free. All three of our versions have been completely free. So I do recommend download it, share it with everybody in your dealership, share it with your agency partners, and really assess where are you within this stair step. One of my favorite things about the guidebook is that it really can meet you wherever you are. So if you're listening to this today and you're saying, I'm right in the middle. I'm not in 1.0, but I'm kind of in that next stage of grow my business. That's great. Start there. If you are still seeing room for improvement on the 1.0 areas, maybe you're doing some of these, but not all, start there as well. And we will just move through together. And then the next piece is to start using the best practices that I've talked about today that are in the guidebook to drive profitability and get ready for this online and omni-channel retailing, because we do see this as the future of automotive because these best practices are in place throughout other areas of their lives. And then just remember that even if this feels daunting, any progress is still great progress. And so every day we're making new strides and taking new steps. So I also don't want this to feel overwhelming. We are here to help. And truly, if the progress is assessing your website and looking at the user experience, that's fantastic progress. So do give yourself the time, work with your agencies, work with us at Google, and we will just kind of move through this together. So that's it in terms of guidebook best practices. And I want to thank Rachel and AIADA for having me again today. And I want to thank you for tuning in. I do look forward to seeing you all in person soon, I hope. But I would love to turn it over for a few questions. So Rachel, if there are a few questions, feel free. Well, I guess first I'll say, if you have any questions right now, feel free to guide them to Rachel, and then I can take them from there.
And if you can't think of any questions now, you're more than welcome to send them to me and I will pass them over to Lisette and with all your contact information, and she will get back to you. Lisette, thank you so much for coming and speaking with us today. I know you were coming from a call and you probably have multiple calls after this. So thanks for taking the time to talk with us. We love having you on and we just really appreciate it. To those on the line, join us back here on June 3rd at 2 p.m. Eastern as Moss Adams talks to how your dealership can identify and claim major tax credits and incentives. For more information about AIADA, visit aiada.org. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and have a great day.